Yami deck at least has the advantage of the one die roll, so he will be the one leading the action here. Let's see what he has to offer in this very important game. He starts off with one of the most iconic cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is also my favorite card of all time. Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage.
I thought this hand looked horrible, but the last card in hand actually was the Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. This one card starter for the Yami combo going into Gagari, getting back that Hornet Drones token, and then you're going to be able to summon out Kapsi. And also this is protected by a lot of cards in Jillian's hand, so he is on a roll, baby.
Okay, Molcharmy Fuvalos is always a good thing to have in your opening hand when you go second, but it will go answered here by the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring here. So Jillian really with a perfect start already so far.
And I mean, it is one of those matches that dice roll doesn't mean a lot, to be honest, since Dracotail has a very good matchup against Yami going second with the 5 mana. It is one of those decks and interactions that you don't really care about letting your opponent going first, since you can now activate 5 mana and then make Arthalion in turn 0 and interact with your opponent.
But you know what? You have to draw 5 mana
yeah,
first.
that's 3 cards out of 40. I don't know how often you're going to get that. Fuvalos helps with that problem, giving you more often access to it, as you will draw cards on that first turn too, but it does not look like we do have access to that just yet. Speaking of the Dracotail deck here from Nicolas, it's actually a quite nice one. Ooh. There is the effect Veiler being used. We're trying to deny that, but there also is Called by the Grave. What an opener from Jillian, having both the Ash Blossom and Joy Spring for the Fuvalos, and now even the Called by the Grave for the effect Veiler.
And now 5 mana would be huge, because now it is freed by this Called by the Grave, or off this Called by the Grave rather. But first of all, Jillian is going to proceed adding 2 of those Yami monsters from his deck to his hand, the Lollipo and Kapsi, of course.
I mean, you have not yet normal summon, so even if 5 mana is on the hand right now and Arthalion will be summoned, you still have your normal summon and you can extend your plays. But I think it is one of those scenarios that you could need to keep 5 mana for the right moment, if obviously it is in the hand.
But yeah, discarding the Ghost Bell here, that's interesting to see. Summons out the Lollipo, so almost the entire hand now known here on Jillian's side. One card that is in the deck of Nicolas that would be super crucial here, though, is Nibiru, the Primal Being. Is that also in his opening hand?
I don't even think that would be this crucial, because then you use the token to go into Link Spider and summon the Kapsi from your hand, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, well, you're right. True, good point. Good point. We do bring back... Oh, but if we summon Kapsi here, we do not know. No, okay, we do not. That's good. But speaking about Nicolas' deck a little more, he actually chose an approach that I really, really, really like, because Nicolas is going very, very heavy on engine in the Dracotail deck. Sometimes that deck has some issues with consistency, but when you make decisions like playing 3 copies of Blazing Cartesia, for example, or also playing all 3 Dracotail traps, you just go all in on the engine, and I like that as a way of going here for this very tournament.
Blazing Cartesia, the Virtuous, is my favorite card in the deck, actually. It gives you so much consistency and a higher ceiling as well. Sometimes you struggle to get monsters back into your hand, and Cartesia frees your Arthalion from having to bounce it back, because it can't just add itself back in the end phase after you have maybe gone for a Seals or maybe a possible Crowley route.
And to be fair, also Cartesia gives the deck one edge that it's very difficult for it is to fusion summon without having restrictions, for example, Rahu for locking you only to Dracotail fusion monsters, and this is very nice for the deck to have other options in the extra deck.
Cartesia also plays around heavily around Retaliating Sea, so that is another additional strength of this card. But now there is Herald of the Arclight on the field for Jillian, and this is the card that... we're actually seeing the Lambda technology. We've talked about this earlier, but this is so strong, and it heavily signalizes that there might be a Cyframe card in the hand.
Well, you say heavily signalizing. Is that ever just a mind game? Is that ever just a bluff where you're summoning this and you tell your opponent, hey, my card in hand here, that is a Psyframe, and then it's not?
Nah. I think
it probably is a Psyframe, right?
Basically, obviously, as Basti said, you can go for this mind game, but in any case, it is one of those new technologies that Yami decks like to abuse right now, summoning Lambda instead of an SP, for example, or another link 2 option, and to threat for a potential side frame in the hand. And obviously Gamma and Delta are very good, for example, against Dracotail, Mitsurugi, or even Yami.
That is true, and now we do have the normal summon of Dracotail Lucias, and one thing we haven't really addressed just yet, that Herald of Arclight sitting on the field is a massive problem for the Dracotail strategy. We have to get rid of that first before we can get into the fusion summoning, so we will need to find a way to get around that. We already found one though with that normal summon, so if we can just attack over it, that works.
We have surprised to bring back the Snatchy and synchro summon in the battle phase of our opponent to a cookie and set the Lucias.
Sadly true indeed.
Otherwise, usually this card also is able to bring back just a yummy cookie, which then lowers the attack points of the monster, which I find the much funnier way to stop your opponent from attacking over Herald of the Arclight. We've seen that in the game before with the Fossil Dyna Pachycephalosaur, where the Habakiri stuck on the field to lower the attack points of the opposing monsters. And now Kapsi is just drawing a card. Jillian staring down Nicolas says, what are you gonna do? You have to act here.
Two French players here, therefore also the crowd, of course, being invested as both of them are trying to make it happen. Actually, as Lucas Lancelot lost in that first set of top 8 matches, they are the two last remaining French players in the entire tournament. So they will not only do it for themselves, but also for the entire country of France.
So as discussed before, entering the battle phase to attack Lucias to the Herald, Surprise has been activated to bring back Snatchy with an effect, and now it can activate its effect to synchro summon into the battle phase of Nicolas' turn.
Yep, that's about right. So you're protecting a Herald of the Arclight, such a strong card, just because of its floodgating effect, banishing all sorts of resources from the Dracotail strategy.
Let's see whether Nicolas has any kind of answer to that. Did he find any further non-engine? I mean, I talked about it. He is really heavily leaning in on the engine part of his deck, and therefore common cards like Super Polymerization in the Dracotail deck or other things like Forbidden Droplet did not find any place in his deck list, and therefore, besides attacking over this Herald, there is really not that much he can do against it.
That is the big upside of Yami going first in this matchup, which is supposed to be a negative one. But if you can go for your full combo, it's incredibly hard to break it without any huge side deck cards. Cards like Dino Wrestler Pancratops are basically your only real answer to stop the deck from doing that. And the thing is that Dracotail can barely play monsters in its side deck because it's just so risky to play those. Cookie Yami Way is going to turn this Lucias upside down. And that is going to be the end of the battle phase, I would assume.
And Akroki is one of those cards that at the beginning of the deck it didn't see a lot of play, but then the community decided that it's a very good card, especially against Dracotail, which is in a favorable matchup for Yami, kinda. And it is one of those cards that not only give you an interaction with your opponent, that in the turn that you synchro summon, the time that you synchro summon, you can destroy one card on the field, but also gives an extra effect that if a face-up monster leaves the field due to an opponent card, you can special summon a Yami from the deck.
That's true. Now here comes Fine Mana. Fine Mana activates its effect, but because there is Herald of the Arclight on the field, we have to banish it instead of sending it to the graveyard.
And now we respond with the Kapsi trying to summon back multiple monsters from the graveyard. And you can go for him. And you can even go for a Lollipo actually here to just get rid of this Fuwalos, because that's a card that can't be added back with Arthelion, even though I doubt that the card you want to summon with 5 mana here is an Arthelion.
Yeah, I think it's better to keep Lollipop, for example, for a potential Urgula if Herald of the Arclight has been passed.
Okay, we do use the pan from the hand, and also, of course, the Lucias that was sat there by Jillian. But what are we going to go into here? What even is generating any kind of value? Okay, yeah, you guys were right. Doesn't make much sense to go into a Aphelion, so we just go with Dracotail Gula Mel instead.
Now Lucias is being activated, of course, was sent from the field, so it doesn't go into banishment.
I mean, right now Gillian can just activate Snatchy, and so Gulamel will miss typing and cannot activate the effect.
Exactly, but you still get to set a spell card or a trap card if you want, but how far is that gonna get you?
You have a Kroki.
Yeah. True, you have a Crocky, but you also have Herald of the Arclight still, so all of those cards that you're going to get out of this aren't really too big. But you would still have to kind of negate them, otherwise Gulamel pops the Herald of the Arclight immediately.
Yeah, feels like that. I do agree. We do bring out another one of the yummy
you synchro
synchro
summon now,
monsters.
and a Crocky will destroy the set.
Yeah.
So
I think that's
it's okay.
the route you have to go
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
I agree, but right now, Jillian carefully thinking whether he wants to trigger that Crocky. He has a chance to, as that was a synchro summon, and there it is immediately, as Mike suggested, goes after the set card that was just set, and that sets also the score to 1-0.
Dusty, I can't get rid of the feeling that you wanted to hint at something for Dracotail going first after siding.
Well, you may be right, as there also is additionally a very powerful counter trap card in the side deck of Nicholas as well. And you have read my mind with that, actually, Leo, as I'm talking about Dragon's Mind. And Nicholas' mind right now is all about Dracotails, as he does have a way to play. He does have a starter. He does have the key to Dracotail.
So I was discussing with some Yami players about how to interact with Dracotail, and there was the potential to keep, for example, your Ash Blossom and obviously Ghost Bell in order to interact only with the trap cards. And since those are the real threat of Dracotail going first, and only have to care about 5 mana.
Okay, but now I saw in Jillian's hand, I think this is a Psyframe Gear Delta. Why don't, I mean, you can't use that on trap cards, right? So why don't we use this on the K2 Dracotail?
Maybe it is better just to wait for Rahu in order to negate the fusion summon, since K2 right now doesn't fusion summon, and I think that you let your opponent take one fusion with 5 mana and set a Rahu and a potential trap, and then on the Rahu activate Delta and stop your opponent from setting multiple trap cards.
Yeah, I like that, definitely. I think that makes sense. Nicholas, does he immediately follow it up with the card he just searched there with the K2? Oh no, we do go for Mululu, which is of course another way to fusion summon, as we can now, in the main phase as a quick effect, go ahead and fusion summon with materials from our hand too, and we do go ahead, use the Mululu itself, and then the... Is that Lucius?
That's Frixel.
No.
Oh, it's
the new card.
true, it's the new one. It's Dracotail Frixel, just newly imported in Doom of Dimensions into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game, and usually a one-off in most of the Dracotail lists.
But now you can already set up your entire lineup here. I think looking at the hand, there's a lot of engine for Nicholas, so he might as well already be at 3 trap cards, which would be amazing for him, especially if a Rahu would get delta'd. Now I want to also check if Rahu is activate once per turn. It's activate. Delta hard negates it, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it does. It does negate the activation. And as we can see, there is a horn now around already. So first trap card has been on the field established.
So I have to ask the Dracotail Master here, do you go first for Horn or Flame against the Yami?
Oh, I think that you would want to go for Flame first. I think Flame is most of the time the better card. Also means that if you get both off, you are going to... I mean, you can basically decide when to activate it, right? But recycling that one is more important. Sometimes these spell cards are just too strong, and if they only start with a normal summon, you have other ways if you've already set up a 5 mana to deal with them.
I mean, Horn is really cool just simply on Yami Snatchy though, isn't it? Like making sure there is no Yami monster on the field anymore. I think that can be pretty impactful. But that Delta here is also going to be quite impactful, as it will negate the activation of that Rahu Dracotail, is it?
I think that Nicholas might smell this Delta a mile away and has another Rahu in hand. That would be absolutely crazy, because Rahu is not used once per turn. It is activate once per turn, and if Delta negates the activation, this was an absolute blank here. Nothing happening from this Delta. And then an Indicator negate would have been much better.
That's true. Let's find out. Did Nicholas really play a mind game here with Jillian? Does he just have another one? He does have that. Well done. Perfectly executed and baited there, as that Rahu Dracotail now is just free to resolve.
It is one of those scenarios that you understand why some players are in this spot, why they are in the top 8 of a YCS, and why they are advancing through the final and can play around any field in hand. Meaning that, yes, Rahu was already in the hand, but we knew that our opponent was in the side frame engine, so we set another Rahu to play, as you said, Leo, around a potential delta.
Very, very strong here. Delta not doing too much in this scenario. And this deck loves to trade cards 1 for 1 because you get so much value out of them. If you're using your trap card, you're probably taking away 1 more card from your opponent and you draw 1 more. You have Faimana that sets up multiple interruptions. You have Gulamel already. That is a pop when Faimana is activated first. Then you can gather more resources or you can summon a Secretarian Dragon. You can do whatever you like. If you have access to a pan in hand, if you can somehow get it, if you can draw into it, you can use the Arthelion and Pan from hand to summon Filia Regis, which then is a pop with Pan and then later on a banishment as well.
That's true. Interesting to see that we set another copy of K2 Dracotail there though, right?
Yeah.
That must mean we have drawn the 3rd trap card because we only set the Dracotail Sting and we did set the Dracotail Horn, so Flame should be the one we just set there, as otherwise surely that would have been the trap card we set through the Dracotail Graveyard effect.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I asked also Leo about what he prefers, Horn or Flame, because when you go first Horn against the Yami, you can tell that maybe your opponent has already Flame in the hand, and obviously I think that now has been confirmed since setting 1 potential trap card.
Jillian's turn now has used 1 card in hand, at least can't top deck Gamma anymore, but now there is such a mountain to climb here. 4 set cards, Faimana in hand, Gulamel on the field, plenty of resources in hand as well, has set up a Mululu, so another possible negate if you want. This is a great position to be in for Nicolas. But now Marshmallow, Yummy as a starter for Jillian. The one Yummy that can special summon itself on an empty field. Doesn't have to waste your normal summon. Made the deck so much stronger.
And Nicolas looks like he wants to let that go through, and there is the Marshmallow Yami now on the field. Importantly enough, in defense position, of course, as you do not want to make it vulnerable to that Horn that is set there on the field. But now, a Link summon can only net you a monster in attack position, obviously, so we gotta summon that Snatchy in attack position, not using its on-summon effect to place a field spell, though.
Yes, because in the resolution we could activate Horn, target Snatchy, since it has not a valid target, it cannot activate the effect to Synchro Summon, and then chain Gulamel into the field spell and clear the entire field.
Very, very true. So Jillian does not want to play into that sequence of things.
You
but we can
have
still
to
just use the Horn. Yeah, that's what I think. Because you're afraid that your opponent just keeps on special summoning Yummies from the hand. Like, all of those Yummies in the hand that they potentially have are just free to summon there. So you want to make sure that from here on out, they need to commit into a normal summon first or into something like Yummy Surprise. So I do totally agree with that too.
And now we get to draw a card for free. If that isn't Yummy, I don't know what is. Horn is in the graveyard now. Getting great use out of Dracotail Horn always feels great because it's so easy to play around the card if you're playing non-link based decks. And Gage is being activated here, but I think you would just rather wait for the Hornet drones with your Dracotail Flame if you at all want to activate it there. But I think the moment where your opponent wants to activate field breaking cards, I think that one has passed maybe.
How the time have changed that you negate the drones and not the engage,
Right?
The tables have turned indeed, but I feel like there is not that many cards you are afraid of here from the Yummy side, so this feels to me like it would be a good negate. Also getting that additional draw again that we already got through the Horn, so why not just use it here?
So I have a better suggestion, to be fair. You can let Kagari to be summoned, targeting the drones, activate Sting, targets the drones, and then chain Gulamel into the Kagari.
Oh, that's
that
also
is a
fair.
Huge play here to get most use out of Sting. That's very nice.
Because it is one of those trap cards that is not very strong against the Yami, but you can take the maximum value from it.
Sounds about right, and Nicolas is thinking as you are possibly, or maybe now considering to activate a set card here, and we do just activate the Sting now, so it's a little bit different from what you suggested, but maybe it's going to still give good value.
I like this even more. You're getting rid of the Yummy name in the graveyard and you're popping the token before it can become a Kagari, and we know Hornet Drones is at 1, so you can never ever get another Drones token here. So you have eliminated the threat of the Sky Striker Ace Kagari, and you have gotten rid of the name in the graveyard that could potentially be relevant later.
I like it too.
Love that.
Not too shabby at all. And now Jillian kind of realizing that this is actually quite good there. And Annie, oh yeah, of course, we can just still chain the effect of Gulamel.
We're going to draw another card off of this. So many cards in hand. This is almost impossible to grind through this later on. Did Nicolas just give a thumbs up to just...
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Oh, we've gotten rid of the Hornet drones as well.
No effect.
No,
of
One
Gulamel
monster
was used.
and one spell or trap card.
Oh.
And or. You can... Wow. Okay. Maybe I should read my own cards. Haha. Kagari is being summoned now. Can add back the Sky Striker, Mobilize, Engage. But how does that help you? Now there is a Link 1 on the field. And now you can special summon your Yummy monster from hand. So Jillian basically now gets to extend with a Kapsi Yummy.
And there is the Kapsi Yummy, indeed. And is it just that we just try to play around Triple Tactic Talents and Frost here so desperately by not activating the Gulamel? Because that's the only explanation that I can find.
I mean, there is the logic that you keep the Gulamel to interact with the field spell, since this is a potential big threat for Dracotail. Otherwise, Yami can struggle a lot to find a way out into a full established Dracotail field.
Yeah, okay, that's also fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree, even though Kapsi is the best extender and it can get you a Yummy surprise as well. Effect Veiler is being used too. So much non-engine, so many draws so far. Of course, some cards will find their way into Nicolas' hand. It can't always only be Dracotail monsters. And even those, if they have pops, if they have negates, they're nice to have.
Is that the moment you activate the 5 mana? Yes, indeed it is. 5 mana uses its effect, and we do chain Gulamel. Gulamel will destroy the Kapsi Yummy, and Jillian. Oh.
I'm very sure we're going to fuse away a pan here, but now we have committed into monster effects. Oh, Molulu and Lucias, okay.
We can recycle the Effect Veiler from the graveyard. That seems pretty good.
True. Arthelian bounce Kagari and add back the Effect Veiler. You get to set all of those spell cards. You have drawn multiple cards already. I don't think you care too much about resources. I think Effect Veiler and bounce the Kagari might be the way to win this game here, if it's not already almost over.
Checking how many cards there are left in hand. But it is the Effect Veiler, and are we going after the Kagari? We are in fact doing that. So once more, taking the opportunity away from Jillian to freely special summon out his Yummy monsters from the hand. Or is there a response? We're still in the process of resolving. Oh, we are resolving already, yeah.
So Arthelian was, of course, Chainlink 1, otherwise Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion or other cards could disturb this one. Every Dracotail player, after being belled once, realizes this card is my Chainlink 1 from now on.
Kagari in the extra deck, all those powerful fusion monsters on the field. Effect Veiler recycle to what are those last remaining cards in hand? Because note, we still have not even used the effect of Dracotail Flame yet. If there is a spell card, we can still negate. And ooh, that is the normal summon now.
Normal summon Kapsi can't add Yummy Surprise here. We have used Kapsi already. Nicolas still has plenty of cards. He has used the Gulamel already, if I remember correctly. That was chained to 5 mana. So now he's like, okay, Jillian, you're good to go here. But if you want to go for your Yummy Snatchy, I have Effect Veiler.
That is indeed known. And sneakily trying to snatch a field spell from the deck, but will probably not go down successfully, as that Effect Veiler was grabbed for exactly that moment and exactly that purpose, negating Yummy Snatchy.
I mean, there was the possibility also to let Snatchy resolve, find the field spell, and then activate Flame, since a potential threat may appear, but and to keep the Veiler. But I think this is the last play from Gillian's side to summon the Typhon.
Very interesting, because we know that Nicolas has already set up the Horn again. So while this is, of course, Typhon most of the time a desperation play, summon it in attack position is going to cause your opponent to just immediately go Horn next turn, bounce it, draw another card, and then go crazy from that point on. But maybe Jillian also wants the field to be cleared because he has another Delta in hand that can't summon driver from banishment.
Yeah, you never know, maybe he likes Psyframe so much that he decided to run the second driver as well. Well, that would certainly be a surprise. Okay.
A yummy surprise.
A yummy surprise. That is a free off, but I don't know about the driver though. And turn goes back over to Nicholas. Looks like he completely controlled this game state out. Looks like he really is in the driver's seat. Yes, if he wants to summon an Aphelion here, it cannot activate its effect, but we can preemptively already deal with that Typhon there.
And I mean, as Lee already suggested, there is Horn that can be activated and target Typhon.
Yep, and now Julian picks up his card, says that is Dracotail versus something like a thrust play set dimensional barrier is that you have the chances to just activate K2, force out the dimensional barrier earlier, and then you can summon Mululu and then pass. That is a Lollipo.
That's not the greatest start, to be honest. You rather want to start with other cards, but maybe it also is a bait, just signalizing that we have more yummy monsters in the hand.
I mean, it is a starter in any case.
Yeah, it is.
Very
it could be vulnerable though. Let's see.
I think Jillian has, again, one of the best spell cards in this entire game in his hand that might or might not be limited. Let's see how Jillian is going to play this one out. It must feel incredibly good to have this card in his hand. Now Lollipo is being summoned back to the field, and now we can go for a nice little Cupsy.
As a Dracotail player, you can understand when your opponent plays Yami and goes for, instead of a Croaky for Mignon, you can understand that potentially he doesn't have a lot of engine, otherwise he would totally protect his monster from FI mana potentially and activate a Croaky in this scenario, except if obviously you have
Ash
one of
Blossom
those
Joyous
spells
Spring
that you are talking about.
So if there is not a whole lot of engine in the hand of Jillian, that Ash Blossom might be pretty tough to deal with. But we are currently considering our options. I think we are even thinking about responding to the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring here.
Does Jillian have another card here to deal with this scenario? Can he go into some more plays? He has activated Cupsy. Yes, you could chain, but that ring! Who's there? It's the grave for Jillian, taking out the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. But again, this is not called by the grave on the Dracotail 5 mana. So if this card is in Nicola's hand for once, then this might hit him hard.
What an important call to take here in the game 3 of top 8. Perfect moment to open up this card when going first, and now protecting our combo so much.
The ring was because someone called, right?
Yeah, the grave called. Just you could see the hand dialing out of the grave, but there is Cupsy as a special summon there. And now even if you have 5 mana, with all that engine in your hand, it is really tough to stop the Yummy deck from setting up here. What do you need even? I think you want an Urgula to pop the field spell, which has already used its effect. You want the Pan to get rid of something. It's so difficult.
It's like a free card combo at that point already, which is definitely not that easy to achieve. Also, as we are heading into this third game here on the main feature, I would like to inform you as well that on the backup feature, same thing happening. We're also into the third game there too, which is already good because it's a rematch there on the backup feature match between Philip and Aaron, where in the last round of Swift were already played, and that one was decided with a Swift 2-0 in favor of Philip. So good to see that this time around they are playing for a third game too.
Aaron said this was incredibly quick. He got demolished in that matchup. So seeing him climb back there is, of course, a good thing. Now we're going to summon out the Lollipo Yummy way here to get back to more Yummy monsters. The name almost escaped me here. Lollipo and Cupsy being summoned back. Jillian is now contemplating his options, thinking, where can I go with this? At this point, you are more and more volatile to some of those interruptions here, going into the Martial Metal Marcher. And I think at this point, Nibiru, the Primal Being...
Imagine there is a Nibiru, yeah. I said it in game 1. I still stand to that. Nibiru here could be crucial, but there even is a thought about a response just there. If there is Nibiru, you gotta activate...
Not yet.
Not yet, true.
If there is 5 mana, you also want to use it
now. There is something. There is something. Nicholas has Nibiru, the Primal Being. He is going to take all of those monsters away from Jillian, who is really not that happy about it, but he's considering whether to respond maybe with one of the quick effects. But no, all of those monsters heading straight up into the graveyard.
I think Jillian still has not used Yummy Surprise, right?
That's
so
true.
Yeah.
he can still definitely play here, of course, also with the token. That's one of the best things about the Yummy deck. If you get a Nibiru token, you go into Link Spider, and then this card is, as crazy as it sounds, a nice extender for you can then go into the Cookie Yummy way and put the Nibiru face down.
However, community a little debates around if Link Spider should be or not in the extra deck. However, as we can see, Gillian here in the top 8 of the YCS summoning Link Spider, and I think he just ended the debate.
A good comment. I love this based.
He does have it, he does need it, and he will be able to, with that, extend his combo further. And the cards in hand, of course, for Nicholas also getting less and less after already using 2 basic mathematics that leaves them with 3 cards only. But he's thinking, is there really also 5 mana in there? That would be the dream opener, really. Oh, Nicholas says he would like to think. You gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
There's no way, right?
If this is
There
a
is
five
no
mana!
way!
What do you have here? Do you have the pan? Do you have the almighty dragon that pops a monster when it's being fused away? He has Kashtira Fenrir.
Fenrir,
This
and
might be a pan, actually,
It does
but we
look like a pan.
cannot see it.
It does look like a
Nicholas.
pen, though. A Phalion is being summoned, so worst case scenario, we can just put that Link Spider back into the extra deck, and it is pan, actually.
It's Pan, Nibiru, Ash Blossom, and 5 mana plus Pan is absolutely insane. That is not only a Dracotail hand, that is the Dracotail
That
hand.
is ridiculous, really. Nicholas, in this game 3, needed the perfect hand after Jillian started so strong with combo plus Called by the Grave, but he has that perfect hand that he needed.
However, we still have the surprise, so we can. At any case, has not ended because we can still find some ways in order to play around it. Obviously, 5 mana with Pan is an amazing start for Nicholas, but do not write off Gillian yet.
I love that, by the way, Nicholas in his opponent's first term is at 0 cards in hand right now. Of course, Arthelion is going to add back the 5 mana in the process, but still, that is a very low amount of cards to have in your hand. Also, very interesting that we fused away the Kashtira Fenrir instead of the Nibiru. Actually, now that I think of it, that's not interesting at all, because the Kashtira Fenrir can't be summoned when Nibiru is on the field, or when Arthelion is on the field even.
That's true. So how do we continue from here? Sand one pass! That is the turn-ending move from Nicholas, and he heads into this turn here with no monsters on the opponent's side of the field, but himself already prepared with 2 monsters with north of 3,000 attack points. Here comes K2 Dracotail, but with also no monsters on the field. Oh, we go for that Dominus Purge first. Interesting, because I think I also spotted another one of the Psyframe cards in the hand of Jillian there, so I would have expected him to use that Delta first, but no, he wants first that Purge.
No, you want to activate Purge into Ketu in order to have a potential Delta into Rahu. So it kind of makes logic, to be fair.
Fair.
That is true, but what does Nicholas have on his side? What was the top deck? He has 5 mana in hand, but keep in mind, after emptying his entire hand out, there might not be too much of a follow-up. You might have a Lucius here, which would be crazy. 5 mana is going to activate. Do you have something here? Do you go into another Arthelion to add back something from the graveyard here?
Yeah, I mean, right now you don't really care about some follow-up. You can actually go for game, and obviously you can fusion summon the Arthelion that is on the field with the pan that you have added from the previous turn.
Ooh, we do have to chain Yummy Surprise, which of course was no surprise as that one was added, but we also all know that means there's a monster now on our side of the field, so the Delta on hand all of a sudden becomes way less scary for the opponent.
Not doing too much anymore, but we know that Jillian has the follow-up of Kapsuyami in hand, and this might be crucial here, because now, when the 5 mana does resolve, you get to fuse an Arthelion, you might get to trigger something in the graveyard, but then, of course, also the Kapsi that was just summoned can trigger, shuffle itself back, and then Jillian is getting most of those cards back, but there is the Pan again. Pan can do so much. Ophelia Regis is being summoned here, not even Arthelion. Are we going to activate Pan here? Are we just going to attack over this and hope that the card that Jillian has is not a Kapsi?
is maybe going for that route. As long as you don't activate effects yourself, those yummy synchro monsters aren't as scary anymore, as they will always only be able to activate to your effects.
I think pan activation is fine though, because what are you going to summon back as Jillian, right? If you summon a cookie back, which I'm not even sure we have at this point, you can just pop it before it activates its effect.
Fair.
A Snatchy is then alone on the field, doesn't really do too much. You have Filia Regis as well. Filia Regis. Do you have to return a Dragon Monster, by the way? Because otherwise, you can return your Nibiru, the Primal Being. I think it's Dragon Monster, yeah.
It is a Dragon Monster. So, Nicholas, will he activate that pan? I do like your logic there, Leo. I think we are good to activate it, because it also, of course, gives us more resources next to going after the opponent's field, but looks like we just passed on that opportunity, not activating it. Or are we still thinking about it?
I think we are thinking about it. As Leo mentioned, it is a very good place to activate pan. Yes, you will trigger the cookie, the Capsi. However, when both monsters will be summoned, you can actually destroy one, so it misses timing and it cannot activate the effect. And obviously later you can potentially go for a game, since Rahu has not yet been activated.
Exactly, so Rahu as a potential push, and then you are going to get even more cards out of this, because then you can send more monsters. What do we have in the graveyard though? Do we even have a monster in hand or another card in hand? There is something.
Ooh, we bring back Lollipo. Not even bringing back Snatchy, as obviously Snatchy on its own, when the other monster gets destroyed, doesn't do too much anymore. Sets VK2 Dracotail, oh no, the Rahu Dracotail.
And now we have to pop the Synchro Monster here. But then Lollipo, of course, gets to at least shuffle back the Arthalion, so very smart. Or banish it, right, true, you can banish this. So you can possibly avoid your opponent going for game. Yes, yeah, it's a very sensible decision to take the Lollipo Yummy way here, just so it doesn't trigger later on again. Nicholas has set up a Rahu. What is the last card in your hand, Nicholas? What was that? Oh yeah, okay. You have a potential trigger. That's what he's telling his opponent, and very reasonable. I just thought he passed for a second. I was scared to...
He passed priority, so I guess...
Fair.
Oh, banishing the Aphalion. So, I mean, yeah, not activating the effect makes sense, because it would get banished anyways, but here comes Rahu Dracotail, fusing away the Molulu from hand.
That is so big that he has another Dracotail card here in hand, because he can set up another trap. That is a free trap. You have Urgula. You can add back 5 mana.
You can summon Gulamel, activate the effect, and destroy, this.
This is your way to go for game, Mike. You said it here first. You can get rid of the Mignon as well. Gulamel, there's the handshake! Nicholas with the